Steve or Magna Carja comes and Tasha. Are you in good form, are you? Yeah, good. We could plug you now into the national grid and we'd have all our energy problems solved, because this is a place really of surging energy, isn't it? This is a place of people who are positive, people who see things to be done and don't sit back and say, well, you know, that's to be done, so who's going to do it? You answer the question yourselves and say, well, we'll get organised, we'll do it, because perhaps if we don't, it'll never get done. And so here are the people who see all the myriad things that are needed over the spectrum of a human life and over community life and individual life. You see so many, we're complicated as human beings, aren't we? Our lives throw up all sorts of complications, from inside the womb right to long after we've left this world. We throw up all sorts of complications. And in those complications, there is the opportunity to help one another, the opportunity to smooth out the complexity, to be company. There's a lovely old Irish expression that says, Girion Birch over, two shortens the road. And I think that's really what this place is all about. It's company on life's journey for people, for everybody, for every single human being. There isn't a point in our lives when we don't need the help and the support and the company of others. Whether it is the child who's involved in sport, whether it is the parent who today in a hospital somewhere will be told that their child has a disability, or that their newborn baby is facing into surgery, or whether it is a parent who has a grumpy, uncommunicative 13-year-old or 43-year-old in the house, which is a more likely phenomenon nowadays. It's the person who is sitting in their lives, at a point in their lives, saying, dear God, I have a problem here, how am I going to help to resolve this problem? And to know that on the end of a phone, or just a short walk away, there is a group somewhere that's already dealt with this problem, is already facing into this problem, and has formed itself into a resource for you, the person with the question, and is a body that's going to be able to help you. And that's what you do across the spectrum. There's a carer today somewhere who's just tearing his or her hair out and saying, God, I could just do with 2 days respite. You're the people who have thought of that. There's someone with an adult with a disability who's saying, I really want to live my life on much more independent terms. I want to be able to showcase what I'm capable of. I'm tired of people looking at me just as a person with a disability who can't do this and that. I want to be a person who can show what I can do. And again, so many opportunities here through the work that you do to give people the chance to shine, to soar, to show their absolute best selves, and to give something back to others. So here, look, I don't know, if we were to switch off the volunteer switch on this island, if we were to switch it off, I tell you, we would have an ice age that would really, really imperil us. I know that we've been through floods and we've been through snow lately, and they were pretty miserable. And then indeed through both of those phenomena, we began to see just how important community is, and just how important volunteers are, and how important we are to each other, because for many people they would simply not have been able to get through without the help that came to them, whether it was informal or formal help that came to their door, or that they were able to access. So we know that if we were to switch off the culture of volunteerism, the light would go out in so many lives. It's not that long ago, a few weeks ago, well, maybe a couple of months ago, I was in Belfast for launching a new initiative with the Huntington's Disease Association, where they were integrating across Northern Ireland, the UK and Ireland. And it just struck me, listening to them that day, how re-energised everybody was by plugging into each other. How important it was so that these discrete organisations that had grown up, these voluntary organisations that had grown up to cope with their own local problems, had suddenly realised that it was very important that they were plugged into each other, that there were open conduits, so that they weren't wasting effort, that they were able to share effort, and they were able to share wisdom and to share resources. And there was a kind of a lovely new feeling on that day as they launched that day, a feeling that they could face the future with a lot more power behind them, a lot more zip behind them, precisely because they had these synergies. And that's something, of course, that you know a lot about here. Because in and through the work that is done here and the huge range of bodies that operate out of here, there is so much opportunity for that cross-synergization, for that offering and sharing of insight, information, wisdom, help, support services. I mean, just even talking to the people in the dyspraxia organisation, it's a word, you know, that many of us really haven't heard a lot of. It's just getting out there now. We've all heard in more recent times about dyslexia. But even for that organisation to be in this building, working with other organisations that are, for example, dealing with whether it's autism or Asperger's, here are opportunities for simply sharing a consciousness about each other, a sensitivity to each other, an interest and a curiosity about each other. That in the doing it, simply in the meeting here, it's not just the fact that these organisations meet and share, but you actually broaden the whole well of the well of community resource from which we draw. Everything that goes on here enriches that, widens it, deepens it, broadens it, makes us more intuitive, makes us hopefully more curious, and also helps us to interrogate our issues much more intelligently, and much more with your help and with your education, and much more effectively with the hands and the heart of your work. So thank God for volunteers, because without them we could just put up a sign saying Ireland's closed, and that's the truth of the matter. If we were to take the voluntary work that is done out of the equation right across this island, by God, we would know what a cold feeling life can have when people are not there to accompany us on life's journey. So thank you for being people who care enough to make yourselves, to make it your passion, to make it your mission, your vocation, to be involved in all the ways that you are involved, the multiplicity of ways that you are involved. You make us more resilient as a community, you make us more resilient as individuals, you give us hope, you give an awful lot of people hope in their lives that simply would not be there but for the work that you do and for the facility that you offer. Later on, in a couple of weeks' time, we're having a resilience seminar or workshop in the Arrows, and we're going to be inviting some of you guys along to it. Because you are the people who can tell us most about how you create resilience, how we upskill individually and collectively our coping skills around that huge complex that is the human person. And I want to thank you for that, because I say, without you, well, Girian Birch Boker is the best way of saying it. You shorten the road for a lot of people. You make that journey through life an awful lot more hope-filled, much more reassuring, certainly less fear-filled for a lot of people. And that's a very, very important investment in our lives. So on behalf of all the people, the myriad people that you help, and the myriad people that you will help, who don't know they need your help this moment, but tomorrow or next week or next month are going to arrive at your door, and they're going to be so glad that somebody has the DVD, somebody's at the end of the phone, somebody has the pamphlet, somebody has the answer to questions that they think are being asked for the very first time. And thank God you're able to tell them, actually no, other people have travelled this journey, here's the benefit of that travelling. Here it is distilled into a form of active wisdom, active help. So Carmichael, may you have a really good year. May you have a much better year than we thought we were going to have at the start of the year. May it turn out to be a really, really, really good year for every single one of you, for all the organisations you represent. And thank you so much for the lovely welcome here today.